can be busy without being productive. You can hold meetings, send emails, complete tasks, and check items off a to-do list for months. But if someone asks what the project is actually producing, would the answer be clear? That's where deliverables come in. Understanding deliverables helps project teams focus on outcomes instead of just activity, and it's one of the simplest ways to improve project clarity and stakeholder alignment. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, I'm Dr. Katie Linder, a certified project manager, change manager, and coach who works full-time leading and supporting teams in higher education. On this channel, I offer real-world examples of how project management translates into the higher ed environment. If you're looking for ways to use project management tools and skills, both professionally and personally, to bring more ease to your work and life, you're in the right place. Let's start with a simple definition. A deliverable is a tangible output, product, service, or result that is created as part of a project. In other words, it's something the project delivers. One of the easiest ways to understand deliverables is to ask the question, what will exist at the end of the project that doesn't exist today? The answer often points directly to your deliverables. For example, if you're implementing a new software system, the software itself may be a deliverable. If you're redesigning a process, the new process documentation could be a deliverable. If you're launching a training initiative, the training materials and workshops might be deliverables. Deliverables are outputs that demonstrate progress and help define what success looks like. One of the most common mistakes I see is people confusing activities with deliverables. Activities are things you do, and deliverables are things that you produce. For example, holding stakeholder meetings is an activity. A stakeholder analysis report might be a deliverable. Conducting interviews is an activity. A needs assessment report is a deliverable. Developing training content is an activity. The completed training materials are the deliverable. This difference can really matter because projects are ultimately judged by what they create, not just by the work that went into creating it. When you're planning a project, it can be helpful to regularly ask yourself whether you're describing work or describing outcomes. Deliverables also matter because they provide clarity. They help everyone involved in a project understand what is being produced and what the project is intended to achieve. When deliverables are clearly defined, stakeholders have a shared understanding of expectations. Project teams know what they're working toward. Leaders can more easily track progress, and decision-making becomes simpler because there is a clear connection between project work and project outputs. Deliverables also help reduce misunderstandings. I've seen projects where different stakeholders had completely different ideas about what the final outcome would be. In those situations, conflict often emerges late in the project when people realize they had different expectations all along. One thing that's important to understand is that deliverables can take many forms. Some deliverables are physical products. Others are documents, reports, services, systems, processes, or experiences. In higher education, deliverables often include things like strategic plans, assessment reports, technology implementations, communication plans, training programs, policy documents, websites, dashboards, and process improvements. Not every deliverable is something you can physically hold in your hand. The key characteristic is that it represents a completed output that contributes to the project's objectives. Another useful distinction is the difference between internal and external deliverables. External deliverables are typically intended for the project's end users or stakeholders. For example, a new student orientation website might be an external deliverable because students will use it directly. Internal deliverables support project work, but may not be seen by end users. Examples might include project plans, requirements documents, testing reports, or training guides for internal staff. Both types of deliverables are important. Internal deliverables often create the foundation that allows external deliverables to be successful. People also sometimes confuse deliverables with milestones. While they're related, they're not the same thing. A deliverable is an output. A milestone is a significant point in the project timeline. For example, the completion of a needs assessment report would be a deliverable. The approval of that report might be a milestone. The launch of a new advising platform could be a deliverable. The date the platform goes live could be a milestone. Milestones mark progress. Deliverables represent what has been created. Understanding the distinction helps create clearer project plans and reporting structures. You can probably see that not all deliverables are created equally. Strong deliverables are clearly defined and specific. If a project charter simply states that the deliverable is improved communication, it's difficult to know that that deliverable has been completed. Instead, you might define deliverables such as a communication strategy, a redesigned website, a monthly newsletter, or a communication toolkit. The more specific the deliverable, the easier it becomes to assign responsibilities, measure progress, and determine completion. A useful question to ask is, how will we know when this deliverable is finished? If that question is difficult to answer, the deliverable may need additional clarification. Let's imagine a university is launching a new faculty onboarding initiative. The project team may initially describe the goal as improving the onboarding experience. That's an important objective, but it's not a deliverable. As the team plans the project, they might identify deliverables such as a faculty onboarding website, a new orientation program, onboarding checklists, training materials for department chairs, and a faculty resource guide. Notice how these deliverables make the work much more concrete. They provide a clear picture of what the project will produce and help define the scope of the project. One reason I prioritize defining deliverables is that they're incredibly helpful for managing project scope. When deliverables are clearly defined, it's easier to evaluate new requests and determine whether they belong within the project. If someone proposes additional work, the project team can ask, does this contribute to one of our approved deliverables? Does it require creating a new deliverable? What impact will it have on timeline and resources? Deliverables create boundaries that help teams stay focused on their original objectives. While it can be tempting to focus on activities and tasks, one of the most valuable project management habits you can develop is consistently asking, what are we actually delivering? The answer to that question can bring clarity to project planning, stakeholder communication, and decision-making throughout the life of a project. I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's a deliverable you've worked on recently? And did everyone involved have a shared understanding of what it was supposed to look like? And if you found this video helpful, be sure to subscribe to the channel for more actionable strategies to implement project management approaches in higher ed contexts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.